This is Michael Brady, who attempted a prison escape that led to the death of 4 prison workers at Pascal Tank Correctional Institution in North Carolina.
I stabbed him like 4 to 8 times. I hit Jeffrey Howe until he stopped moving. I don't know how many times I hit him with a hammer.
Brady was facing 24 years in prison for an attempted murder conviction after he shot at a North Carolina state trooper. And 4 years into his sentence, Brady and 3 other inmates brutally murdered 4 prison workers with hammers and scissors.
That man, Michael Brady, beat that man, George Midget, like he was trying to bust concrete.
Brady then tried to hop a fence,
Brady then tried to hop on a fence but was captured at gunpoint.
Bloodbath, and I stepped in between Jeffrey and Wendy, and I slid trying to get in because the whole elevator floor was nothing but blood.
During the trial, the prosecutors argued that Brady was the one who planned the attack and had no remorse for the killing.
Originated the plan. We know who led the plan.
After Brady is found guilty, he now takes the stand at his sentencing.
I'm up here to tell the truth. You can ask me anything you want. I'm gonna tell the truth. Whether it hurts me, whether it helps me, I don't care about that.
You don't believe you're crazy, do you?
No, I don't think I'm crazy, no.
And you do know the difference between right and wrong?
Yes.
So you know murder is wrong.
Murder is a different name for a death, but yes.
Your freedom meant more than their lives.
Yes.
And now the
judge reads out the jury's recommendation.
The jury unanimously recommending that the defendant be sentenced to death.
Brady seemed completely emotionless, and the judge later agrees on the death penalty, where he now sits and locked up in Colorado awaiting his death sentence. This is Austin Myers and Timothy Mosley. They were both convicted of murdering 18-year-old Justin Buck in Winsville, Ohio. The 2 men, Myers and Mosley, went to Buck's house in an attempt to rob his safe that belonged to his father. During the robbery, Buck was strangled with a choke wire.
The idea of strangling him, that way it would create no mess, pretty much be an easier job to handle. Obviously, Justin was trying to put up a fight, and he wasn't overpowering us.
Justin Buck was then stabbed 21 times until he died.
Justin was trying to ask us why. He was pleading to stop and pretty much begging for his life.
On trial, Mosley testified against Myers to attain a plea bargain, where he pleaded guilty and was sentenced to life in prison. Finally, for Myers, he takes the stand in front of the jury, asking them to spare his life for his family in hopes of avoiding the death sentence.
If you choose for me to die, it's only going to cause more pain and suffering for another family, not me. It won't hurt me. I won't feel anything. It's going to hurt more innocent people.
This is now the father of Justin Buck speaking.
I'm not going to stand up here and tell you how much I hate you. That is without question. I would just hope that every time you close your eyes at night, you see my son, Justin.
After the jury recommended the death sentence, this is Myers' last chance to plead for his life in front of the judge.
I think there's a lot of good things I can do with my life if you allow me to keep my life.
And the judge doesn't buy it. He hands down the maximum sentence.
The defendant does not understand how precious life is. Therefore, the sentence of death shall be imposed upon Austin Gregory Myers on the charge of aggravated murder.
Nothing but a slight nod. At just 19 years old, this made Myers the youngest Ohio individual to be put on death row. He is currently waiting his execution at Chillicothe Correctional Institute.
There were so many lives destroyed by this, and it was just for nothing. I mean, there was no money in the safe. There was nothing in there. They did this for basically nothing.
This is Nico Jenkins, who was convicted on 4 counts of murder when he went on a killing spree in the span of 10 days in Omaha, Nebraska. At 15 years old, Jenkins was sent to a youth correctional facility and served a 10-year sentence in prison for carjacking and assault. A month after his release, Jenkins shot and killed 2 individuals in a robbery. 8 days later, his next victim was a former inmate he originally met in prison. He was shot and killed in his own garage. 2 days after that, Jenkins killed his 4th victim in a carjacking. Jenkins was arrested for unrelated charges, but it was here that cops were able to pin the ammo used in one of the killings to Jenkins.
You not realize I got Nico Jenkins? Do you not realize that? I got Nico Jenkins. I got you.
What do you mean you got me?
I got your DNA at the murder scene. I got your DNA in the car.
Sir.
I got the weapon. I got Nico Jenkins.
Jenkins pleaded no contest to 4 counts of first-degree murder. He also waived his right to a jury trial, meaning a 3-judge panel will decide if he is innocent or guilty.
Each one of these murders was a deliberate and planned act. The victims were pre-selected and the murders were purposeful.
After Jenkins is found guilty of all 4 murders, he sits still with little movement. And now comes his sentence.
Therefore, this panel finds that the death penalty is appropriate, should be, and is hereby given for each of the 4 murders by the defendant.
As Jenkins is sentenced to death, he seems to be completely unfazed. He is currently incarcerated at the Nebraska State Penitentiary awaiting his death sentence.
This is Martez Abraham, who was convicted on 2 counts of murder for the killings of 2 Walmart employees in South Haven, Mississippi. Abraham had worked at the Walmart but was faced with a suspension after he apparently had a knife on him on the store the day he was suspended. He returned to the store with multiple weapons and opened fire, killing store managers Anthony Brown and Brandon Gales.
He was laying on the ground with his eyes open, and I ran up to him and I looked at him. I said, Anthony, honey, please say KC one more time.
He also shot an officer who survived due to his bulletproof vest.
Once I got out of my vehicle, I heard gunshots and I felt the pressure of the bullet hit my back.
He was arrested on sight. Now in court, Abraham admits to all crimes.
That's you, isn't it, sir?
Yes.
Look at it, please, sir.
Yes.
Mr. Gale is on the floor going down at this point, isn't he?
Yes.
Okay, and that's you shooting him, right?
Yes.
Look at the screen, sir.
Yes.
That's you shooting him?
Yes.
And you admit that you shot him in cold blood?
Yes.
You shot him again, didn't you?
Yes.
After that, you went back to the toilet paper aisle, didn't you?
Yes.
This is one of the victim's wife delivering a victim impact statement.
You took Anthony from me on the exact day, 20 years earlier, that we had our first date.
And now this is when the judge will decide Abraham's fate.
In count 1, I will sentence you to death. Count 2, you will be sentenced to death. In count 3, you will be sentenced to life in the penitentiary.
As Abraham hears that he will be receiving the death penalty, he stands silently, where he now sits on death row awaiting his execution. This is Markeith Lloyd, who was convicted of murdering a police officer in Orlando, Florida.
I'm facing the lecture, but somehow I have absolutely don't know nothing about. And they frame me.
Lloyd was already on the run from the police after he killed his former girlfriend who was pregnant with his child. A month later, Lloyd is spotted in a Walmart. You can see him walking in. Moments later, Orlando Police Lieutenant Deborah Clayton pulls in. You can see her grab a cart and walk in. Reportedly, they crossed paths every few minutes. Outside the store, Lieutenant Clayton was notified, and she tried to stop and arrest Lloyd when a shootout begun. Lieutenant Clayton was killed during the interaction by being shot 4 times. Following the murder, Lloyd took off again, which led to a 9-day manhunt where he was later found. During the arrest, he tried to escape where he lost his left eye in the altercation. Here in court, Lloyd took the stand. He reportedly believed everyone was out to kill him.
And I was just reacting, Mary. I was just reacting. Even when they opened the door, I just reacted. I fired 2 shots, I just reacted.
The jury that found him guilty.
It really hurts deep down inside.
This is Lieutenant Clayton's sister giving a victim impact statement.
She stood in the place as my mother when I didn't have one. I truly miss my sister. I truly miss her.
And this is the moment that Lloyd hears that the jury unanimously recommends the death sentence.
We, the jury, unanimously find that the defendant, Markeith Lloyd, should be sentenced to death.
Lloyd seems to mouth something out to the public. A few moments later, Lloyd has an outburst.
You've been trying to kill me. You've been trying to frame me for murder.
All right, why don't we remove Mr. Lloyd from the courtroom?
The judge later agreed with the jury and sent Lloyd to death, where he now sits behind bars waiting for his death sentence.